Hello, everyone. It is the Ego Project, and I am Lisa Heidel, and I'm here with,
Christine Seidel.
and we are the Ego Project, and us and our guests, of course, when we have them. But today it's just Christine and I, and we are going to be talking about manifesting. And we would kind of wish we would have been recording before we started because it was really good conversation, but we're going to try to recreate that a little bit, and then we're going to jump into some questions. So I just shared with Christine before we started recording that I have some issues around manifesting. I get it. I just don't know if I 100% believe it, even though I do it regularly. And so I'm sure that I cannot be the only one in this boat. Okay.
No, you're not. And that just so lights me up when people are in this place where they're so curious about it. They really, really, really want to believe it and they want it to be true, but they have their doubts. And that just like when I'm working with coaching clients that are specifically wanting to learn how to start manifesting, I just get so excited when that is their stance because there is so much for them to actually become aware of, and be kind of blown away by it. So I'm excited for this conversation for sure.
Oh, me too. And we're going to go ahead and share a little bit. And we'll remind you as before we sign off. So we're going to discuss manifesting. Christine is going to share with us the process and exactly what it is. And then she's going to give me some homework. And next week, I am going to come back doing the process that she uses with clients. And then we're going to delve into me as a manifester. And so it's going to be a part 1, part 2 for manifestation. And we are very excited. So are you ready to jump in?
I am. And I think we need to have a part 3 follow-up to make sure that what you tried to manifest actually occurred.
Oh, I like that. Okay. So we're going to have a 1, 2, 3. I'm all for that. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So let's get to it.
All right. So the very first question, because it's a question a lot of people are confused about, as you said, they don't really understand it and don't have complete information, but can you define manifestation for us, Christine?
Right. So, manifestation in and of itself is just taking something that is from the abstract, right? So whether it's a thought, whether it's a belief, whether it's, a feeling, a desire, and it is brought into the embodiment of our world, right? So it's going from the abstract concept into the embodiment in the here and now where we're actually able to see it, feel it, touch it, be aware of it. So that is what manifestation basically is in our, spiritual world, and in, the world of law of attraction. We focus mostly on it being, the desires of our heart, of our mind coming into fruition.
And that seems simple, right? It has us, according to a lot of people who practice it, it is quite simple.
It is actually a very simple concept. The steps to manifesting are not overly complicated, but the complexity is really in what is going on in the subconscious, that is keeping a lot of these things, situations, desires from actually showing up in our world, because the abstract is constantly going on in our subconscious, which, we've talked so much about in the Ego Project. There is so much going on in there that can, subconsciously be coming in and creating some kind of block in our actual ability to manifest.
Well, as I was preparing for our conversation today, I was reflecting on manifestation, and I think it's something that is an innate knowing in us, and we actually encourage children to do it. Right? We say, write a list for what you want for your birthday. Write down what you want for Christmas, right? And of course, whatever the belief system is for, whether you believe in, Santa Claus, or you believe in, something else that brings the gifts, that was part of our, childhoods. I think what happens with adults is, well, we know there's no Santa. right? The
Yeah.
children, they don't care really. I mean, at the deep core of it, that's not, they want what they manifested,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah,
would you say that you see in children that children are better at it, or it comes
absolutely.
easier? Okay.
Absolutely. And I think on both sides, right? Because we can manifest something good and something not so good, right? Manifestation is not just the good that we want to occur. We manifest some very negative things as well, right? And so we can see in childhood that innocence, especially, before a lot of the wounding occurs, we do see them manifest, the presence under under the tree. They may not have gotten everything on their list, but they got some of those things on their list, right? And so they're putting everything on that list and sending it to, the Santa Claus, let's just say, and they fully believe that under the tree come Christmas morning, that Santa Claus will have provided some, at least, of those gifts that were on their list. So you get to see this just very childlike belief system of, I think of something, I get excited about it coming, and then I trust that it's showing up. And literally at its very core, that is what law of attraction, manifestation, that word we use in the positive, that's basically what it comes down to. But of course, with our ego wounding and our limiting self-beliefs as we move into adulthood, our need to be a lot more intentional with how we navigate through what it is that we desire, that's really where the work comes from.
That's so good. What would you say is the biggest misconception, get that out, that people have about manifestation? What is the biggest error in their thinking?
Yeah, so I think you just said the word, they're thinking, right? So
Mhm.
I think, it was back, I think probably the late 90s, maybe, where that book The Secret came out, and there was a movie around it. And it was really kind of the first mainstream introduction of the law of attraction. Before that, we've had things from, Think and Grow Rich. It was Napoleon, I forget his last name, that, kind of started bringing these concepts, but very much on that was very much on an intellectual level, not the mainstream wasn't really aware of it. So The Secret was a really powerful movement in manifestation and law of attraction, but it really did a disservice in that it really focused on the thinking process, right? Like if you think it, if you set your mindset on it, then it will happen, And so a lot of people that begin the process of law of attraction really get stuck and frustrated in the fact that, well, I keep thinking about this. It's on my vision board. I look at it every day and it's still not showing up in my life. And, that is just really, the inspiration is really just the first step, being inspired that something really feels like a desire of your heart is the first step of manifestation. If I were to be like, you know what, I want to be a unicorn, right? And I just sit here and I'm like, I think I'm a unicorn. I think I'm a unicorn. I'm a unicorn, right? And I don't go out into this world acting and feeling like I'm a unicorn, I'm probably not going to be treated like a unicorn, right?
Right.
I'm not going to have the things that a unicorn would be receiving or doing, just because I'm thinking I am doesn't mean that it's happening.
So would you say that people get very confused between, they think wishful thinking is manifesting?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so where is that? How do they remove that block when it comes to the, from moving from wishful thinking to manifesting?
Mm. Well, and I think part of that is because when we talk about wishing, right? When we talk about wishing, there's almost this implied level of impossibility that I think is subconsciously placed upon it. If I wish for something, there's almost like this belief or this subconscious, block that it's probably not going to happen. I wish I could get $1 million. Well, there's a part of that phrase that I really believe is not going to happen. So wishful thinking is really kind of implying that there's doubt, that there is a high probability it's not going to happen, and that's a blockage. in the process of manifestation. Children that, make their gift list, for their birthday aren't sitting there going, "Ooh, I wish somebody brings this to my party." They write it and they send it out and they're like, people are bringing this stuff to my party, right? If you live in the South, like I do, people like to buy off the list, because they're like, "Oh no, I've got a gift for you," So you know who to send that list to and who not to, right? But wishful thinking really does have almost a scarcity belief behind it, and that's why it tends to be a block to really moving through the process of manifestation.
Mhm. Okay. So if you were working with a manifesting client, as which I'm going to be, yeah,
Yes.
and you're taking me through the process, what would be the first thing that you would do with me? What would be the very first question you would ask, or
So, it's interesting because we are all kind of different manifestors, right? So in my work, I work with people and we define ourselves as specific manifestors or non-specific manifestors. And what that kind of means is specific manifestors, they know exactly what it is that they're wanting, right? They're like, I want to be in this type of relationship. I want to have this type of job. I want to be living this lifestyle. I want my health to look just like this. Non-specific manifestors are like, it would feel really good to have people in my home. It would feel really nice to be able to travel. Theirs is much more just like more of an abstract concept of how they would feel or of a situation. Whereas specific manifestors are like, I want a partner that I have a great connection with, and so working with clients, it's really important for me to know, are they specific or non-specific? Because that tells me what part of the process do we need to lean in the most, right? So knowing that about my clients is the first step. The second step is to really understand what is their inspiration, right? What are the thoughts, the inspirations that continue to pop up in their world that leads to a desire, right? The desire comes from more of our authority. It comes from our intuition. It comes from our gut. Inspiration is what's coming into our thoughts. So you can see, in the kind of generic model of manifestation, all we're getting is inspiration. I think this would be awesome, right? Then we go into our body. I know this is meant for me. This is how I feel when I'm in that situation. So really getting the mind-body connection with my client. And then we start working on what is the inspired action that we take today to start opening up our world for this coming, because we fully believe it's coming, right? So I'll do an example of like a manifestation practice. So one of my clients was like, I really want a relationship. I want to get married. I want to share my life with somebody. And so we started that, that's your inspiration. Okay, what would it feel like to have this partner in your life? Well, we would be going, to the farmer's market on Saturday. We would be watching movies. We'd snuggle in bed. Okay, the inspired action would be, is your home available for another person to live in, right? Is it cluttered? Is all of your junk on the other side of the end table, right? Do you have a comfy place to be watching movies? Are you going to the farmer's market anyway? So are you taking the actions to begin having that you desire already in your life? And that's typically where manifestation gets caught up, is I'll check in with them. Okay, well, did you, clear out your closet? No, I didn't get around to that. And so, the fourth step in manifestation is I work with my clients limiting self-beliefs. What is it that is keeping you from taking that inspired action? Yeah. And so, manifestation is interesting because we manifest whatever is the abstract. It does, the subconscious, again, doesn't differentiate between positive and negative. It just manifests whatever you're pulling, whether you're aware of it or not. So go ahead.
So as an example, if you're saying, I just want someone who loves me, Okay. And because I'm sure you get a lot of love and money. I want to
Yeah,
manifest love and
yeah,
money, right? So we're
100%. That's a part of everybody's
love and money,
package.
which really is quite, we need money to survive. We do.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
need love to survive. We need
absolutely. It's
sense of
very fundamental
belonging.
part of our hierarchy of needs, 100%. Yeah.
And so, I want someone to love me. And, you go out and you meet someone, and this, if you're a heterosexual female, and, so this guy is really into me, and you start dating him, and then you start noticing, well, this guy is really immature. I don't think he respects women. He's
Hmm.
lying to everyone in his life,
Yes.
and yet you're like, but I manifested him,
Correct. Right.
right?
Right.
So what do you do when you bring someone or something towards you and it's
Mhm.
not your full manifestation? Is it because you haven't been clear about what it is you're and unwilling to release what did show up? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great example is when we are in the manifestation process and something is showing up and we're like, you know, this doesn't feel the way I was thinking it was going to feel, right? Then we need to check back in with us. Okay, what is the limiting self, limiting belief system that I have about myself in actually getting what it is that I'm really desiring, right? And what is this that's showing up to me that feels familiar from the past wounding, right? And that's where we need to check. We have to check in because typically something will show up and it looks like what we thought it should look like, right? But does it feel the way it needs to feel? And that's why the mind body connection is so powerful in the manifestation, is because if we only do manifest from our thoughts, we're literally just looking at what it looks like. But when we're interacting, that's what should feel right to us. So I'll give you an example of manifesting something and it coming, but it didn't come in the way that I really wanted it to. So, when I was manifesting going into private practice and being my own boss and being this entrepreneur, I was, thinking about the day I was going to have, what my day would look like, how much I was making. And I was like, and I am going to be known for this, and I'm going to have clients, and I'm going to be helping this person and that person. And I'm going to be, going to this meeting and that meeting. And like everybody wants to work with me and it feels amazing. And then it happened. And I was really known for my work, and I was working with this person and that person, and I was in frantic energy. It was overwhelming, but I manifested that because I believed I needed to be constantly busy in order to have the money or the prestige or the reputation that I had, right? So even in that process, if we're not very specific for the specific manifestors, we're not specific on all the details of how that feels, we will bring about what it is that we feel is in alignment for that.
Boy, that's such a great example. And, with the clients that I work with, um, so often they want to do that. They're like, let's market here and let's market there and let's get this out there and, more and more and more. And I'm like, you're a one person shop. How are you going to manage all of these clients? So I try to get them to really kind of consider what kind of lifestyle they want to lead. How many clients can they, typically see during the week and keep a work-life balance? Like, I kind of have to reel them in. And so with manifesting, would you say is that throwing up an obstacle in their manifesting, or is it just helping them get clear? Like, what are your thoughts there?
I think it's both. And I think
Mm.
that that's what people really need to understand about the manifestation process is you're never fully the greatest manifester ever. Like you're always learning how to refine the process and hone in on what it is that you're actually trying to bring about. and that's why the manifestation process is a great reflector to us. What is it that's coming back to me, and what is it within my belief system and my subconscious that I'm putting that out there. And we see this all the time with people, right? When they're like, they kind of have this like, low vibe, and they're like, yeah, I got up this morning and I stubbed my toe, and then I got stuck in traffic. And you're like, right, you're manifesting that because you're literally in this belief system that is what is in alignment for you, right? And same thing with relationships. This is the ego telling us this is what's in alignment for you. This is what you're thinking and feeling, and you're moving into this world believing that this is what's in alignment for you.
So in order to really bring manifesting into your world and use it like it's a tool that we all have at our disposal, in order to use it in a very productive way and let it more allow it to work, right? As opposed to, we're going to have a good time with me manifesting.
I'm so excited.
Here, universe, let me take that wrench from you. I will fix it. Yeah. So in order to do that, we have to do a lot of self-work. It really requires us to really look at our belief systems.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it starts with like a situation, right? Let me check in with myself. What is my thought around this situation? And how do I reframe that? And then checking in with your body. How am I feeling about this? Is this something that is making me excited? Is it lighting me up? Does it match my desire? And then how would I feel if this were already true? If I were already in this relationship, how would I be feeling? How would I show up to dinner? How would I, be calling my friends? How would I be going to work? If I had this person in my life that was like my soulmate, right? How would I be moving through this world? And that's the thought and the feeling together is then how you start making, you take inspired action. You go out there, you clean out your end table, you get on the dating app because you're believing this is already true. It's just waiting for you to show up.
So what happens when you're working with the client, and for the people out there that, are trying to manifest, they recognize it as something that they can use. They truly believe in it. It resonates with them. And it's not happening. They're doing all the things, they're really paying attention to their feelings, they know how it feels in their body. They're taking time to really, they're cleaning out off that end table. They're, making space in the closet and all that good stuff. And it's not happening. What do you do?
Those are the moments where I say, let's check back in with, does this really sound like something you want? Right. Or is there better? Right. It's never worse. Right. But it could be better. So it might be like, well, for like a non-specific, I just want, to have people come, live with me. It would feel so good to just have people in my home. And, they're like, I don't care if it's a roommate. I don't care if it's, one of my family members. I just don't, I would just love to wake up and there'd be people around me and have a community. And so I check back in, these things didn't, kind of happen. A roommate didn't really show up. So let's check back in. Is somebody in your home, is that really something that feels right? Or is there something better? Well, you know what? I don't know if it's necessarily having somebody in my home. I think I would like to I don't know. I think maybe I would like to travel with somebody. Like if I think about people in my home, I don't know if it's necessarily like in my home. I think it's just having companionship and going somewhere and really just having like people, friends to go do things with. Then we can be like, okay, so we don't need to be focusing on the home right now. We need to focus on friendships, closeness, connections, right? So we check back in and we're like, is it this that you really desire, or is it better, something better? it's rarely something, it's not something worse, but it could be something very different, like travel, you know. Are you really wanting people to come live with you, or are you just wanting people around you and have experiences with them?
So, in that situation, someone who's not working with a coach, but if
Mhm.
you can work with Christine.
Or any really good manifestation coach,
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
keep it accountable. You know, that's really
Oh,
the key
that's,
to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, would you encourage someone who's working on their manifestation skills to not to check in with themselves regularly and say, okay, is this still what I want? The person I was 3 years ago is not the person I am today. The things I want are different.
Mhm.
And so, to be able to manifest what I want, I need to rewrite a script.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and you know, the scenario of like, oh, you know, and I'm seeing this client and I'm booked and all, you know, I manifested that, but within frantic energy, right? Like I was exhausted. I was going from place to place to place. I took on too many things, right? And so, yeah, I manifested that. That no longer, you know, when I was inspired with that, it felt really good to be busy, and I moved through my life making that happen. That felt good until it didn't anymore, and it no longer served me, and there was something better, you know. And so then it was like, let me check back in. What is the inspiration that I would like? Well, it would feel really good to have a personal assistant that could navigate all this other stuff and take some of this hurried energy away. You know, oh yeah, that would feel really, really good. I'm gonna move through my day, and I'm not gonna answer all the emails all the time. I'm gonna put them to the side, believing that my personal assistant is coming, and that if those emails have to wait till the end of the day until I can address them, that's fine, because I know my personal assistant is coming, and eventually they will be the ones that will be answering all these things. But I'm no longer showing up in that energy to be here I am available for everybody, right? And so it did, right? And so taking that inspired action as if I had somebody else or this other time that was allocated until they came, then I would move through my day.
Oh, that's so good. I love that, because it's so often we're like, okay, I chose this and I brought it to me. I
Mhm.
committed to it, and I must stay with it forever. It's
Right.
like, well, if it doesn't fit the life that you're wanting to lead now,
Mhm.
why would you keep investing in it?
Mhm.
Right.
Exactly.
And that is manifesting, right?
It is
It
100%.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, people who are in maybe in a lower vibration,
Mhm.
and they're just starting on, this growth path, the spiritual
Mhm.
path or therapeutic path, whatever path they're on, right?
Right. Right.
Their path, and they're finding that their vibration is low. So when, if they're, as an example, trying to manifest, a new job, as an
Mhm.
example, and they're, thinking, trying to, appear, they're like, okay, I know I want a job that pays well.
Mhm.
And then in their gut, they're feeling this kind of low vibration. It feels kind of uncomfortable because they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to work so hard.
Mhm.
I'm going to have to work twice as hard if I get a job that pays more. If the job pays twice as more, I have to work twice as hard,
Oh, look at them
right?
already. Yeah, they're already talking themselves out of it.
Exactly.
They're already
Which we
declining
do
that
that.
job offer.
We do that, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, we tend to look to our history to
Right.
determine our future,
Yeah.
right? Okay, this is how it was, this is how it'll be, right?
Mhm.
So how would you guide them into getting into that higher vibration so that
Mhm.
they can manifest really what they want,
Mhm.
and be happy about it and not feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed with it?
Right. And not, you know, not already start with the story and the narrative of it's not going to happen, right? So you can see if you're starting in a place, and this is what I always talk with my clients about, you know, they're like, well, on my vision board I have a private yacht, and I'm like, well, I mean, are we, you know, in a place right now where we're in an industry where the income supports that? Nope, I'm not. Nope. I'm in education and with the public, and I max out at $67,000. Okay, well then let's sit with what's before the private yacht. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So with people who are in a situation where they're really they want to start with manifestation, but they've had a lot of negative life experiences, I can tell that they're wanting to go jump ahead, 50 steps to something that's not even in the realm of something that they're able to actually receive right now. Like they're not even in the place to receive that. Then I start with, what areas of your life are you really wanting to move vibrationally in, right? And let's get very specific, or let's get on what that is or what that feels like, based upon whether they're specific or non-specific. And I help coach them even be able to kind of fine tune what they really do want to be manifesting right now. Because this is basically an exercise. It's a discipline and a formula you follow for your whole life, but what you're manifesting will shift and change. So it's kind of like, even as a therapist, when our clients are giving us goals, we want to make sure that they're measurable, that they're attainable, that, that they're not going to become so overwhelmed with their goals because they're really not realistic for our 3 months of therapy, right? And that's the same thing with manifestation, is really coaching them and helping them pull out what those real desires are and where we can get started.
Oh, that's so good. And, I think so often people, they see where they're at right now and they see where they want to be. And it looks like, oh, it's a mirage. Yeah, it's way out there. I'm never going to reach it. Right. And I'm a strong believer in the next good feeling thought.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of like Abraham Hicks talks about, like, I may not, be able to, be, happy 24/7, even though that's always the goal, but that's not really,
Right.
it's in the way there. Right. But I can feel good right now. Having this amazing conversation with you, and it raises my vibration. Now, when I feel like, after you and I finish our conversation, that's a great time for me to sit for 5 minutes and manifest, correct?
Yeah, 100%. I have a visual, it's a vibration ladder, and it shows the feelings that we can have, and just moving up a couple of those steps puts us closer to really being available to receive, and we have to be really clear with ourselves when what we're wanting to receive is really good for us. Think about that child that was writing their Christmas list, right? I bet some of them probably put that they wanted a pony on there. And I bet some of them are actually glad they didn't get a pony, right?
Yeah, I know that their parents are. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when the parents saw pony was on there, they were like, oh, well, if Santa brings you a pony, don't forget you're in charge of mucking the stall and you got to go there after school. And, so a lot of times we're not really clear on what it is that we're saying we want, right? But if we can sit in those vibrations, we get a lot more clarity, so the more we move up in our vibrations, the more we're able to be like, oh, I feel so good right now. You know what kind of inspiration am I getting? It would be so nice to go out and visit Lisa. I love spending time with her, right? And that inspiration will help us then be like, well, what would I need to do to make that happen? I'm going to go check out flights, right? Because we're now in a vibration of receiving, whether that's inspiration, whether that's feedback, whether that's resources. We're not open to receiving when we're on the downward vibrations, which are frustration, irritation, rage, anger, resentment. We're not receiving in those vibrations.
So if you have an argument with your partner and you walk away and you're like, you are so replaceable, you're out, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're going to manifest that to you.
It's 100%. Yeah.
Low vibration, and it may not happen that day or that week, but if that's a continuous thought and feeling and vibration you put out in the world, you will bring that to you, correct?
100%. In those vibrations, that thought and that feeling of resentment then leads to the actions of, well, I'm going to go see what so-and-so is doing on Facebook, right? they were always so good to me. They always said that so you're manifesting a belief system and it will occur, right? If you're not doing the work to bring it back up to a place where I need to be in a vibration to receive, then you're going to manifest that which is on the downward spiral as well.
I love that. I think so often, as you explained at the beginning, the definition of manifestation was so cognitive, and because that's how we understand concepts, right?
100%, yeah.
And I love, for people to understand that it's, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, right? It's, you have to be moving forward. You are a co-creator with these manifestations.
Absolutely.
You are not, a victim of them, and you are not, gifted them, right? You are a participant in this. And so, you have to get in there, get your hands, dirty, and start figuring out exactly what you want and how you are going to participate in bringing it to you.
100%. And I think that people have to understand in all the things, and we've talked a little bit about, this in the ego, is that the head and the brain, this is an information hub, right? It's just to bring in information, inspiration, and to process it. It's not here to make decisions. Our decision center is in our body, in our intuition, in our gut. That's where we're like, yes, that feels like a desire, or no, I don't like that move on, right? So we have to have these working together, and then we have to take that forward inspired motion, believing that it's coming because it said yes in our intuition, it said yes in our gut, and then we move
I think that's so good. So, you would encourage people to first start recognizing when things feel good in your body.
100%.
Bad,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. That would be, take the inspiration situation and check in. If you check in and you're getting a yes or a no, then that's exactly where we move. Is a yes goes forward, a no is a stop. Right? So teaching people how to actually make decisions.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What if you get it the other way? Like you're telling yourself, no, I shouldn't want that. No, I shouldn't want it. Yet it feels so right in your body. And you're in this constant conflict.
Yes. That's where that is where we start doing reframing work. Right? Because if your gut, if your intuition is so excited and so set on this desire, and your head is saying, no, that is selfish, no, that's not realistic, that's not even available, right? Then we have to work on some cognitive reframing, and we need to be doing that work every single day.
Oh, that's very good. And I see that being another conversation on the Ego Project, how to do cognitive reframing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So powerful. Okay. All right. I love this, and I'm feeling ready for our next. Yes, I'm very excited, and you're going to be, off the Ego Project. We're going to be doing some work together. You're going to send me some information, and I'm going to do my homework because I am diligent.
You are. You're a great manifestation coaching client to have.
Oh, well, thank you. Cross your fingers, people. I have no idea what it is I want yet, but I know I want something good.
Yeah. And you know what? The reality is that we're manifesting all the time, good, bad, or indifferent. We are manifesting, so it's not that manifestation isn't working. It's that we're not clear on what it is that we're manifesting.
Oh, that's so good. I so agree with that. I know what you said is true. I feel that it resonates. Now I just need to convince my head.
The information center, right?
The information center. I like that. I like the information center.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add? I'm very excited, and I think this is very valuable information.
Yeah, I would just say those people that are really have been interested are being piqued by this, go, research, look into, manifestation coaches. interview them, ask them what their experience is with manifestation, ask them how manifestation is working in their life, really get to the core of the person you're working with, because that energy is an exchange in and of itself. And so much of manifestation is about accountability. Are you doing the things you need to do to actually manifest?
That's very good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And getting clear about what that is.
Exactly. Which a lot of times, you'll work with a coach and they'll be like, okay, well, this is what you say you want. Let's start. Right. But part of that process is fine tuning, the clarity as to why are we wanting this.
Oh, that's so good. All right. Well, we will see you next time for part 2 with manifestation, where Christine will be walking me through a manifestation coaching session. And we're really going to delve into where I have blocks. If I have blocks, I don't know. Who knows? We're going to find out.
Maybe it's like lack of clarity. Who knows?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to find out. We're going to get clarity.
Yeah.
So that's good. We want to remind everyone that we are now on all the podcast platforms. So you can find us on Spotify, on Apple, on Google Podcasts, et cetera, wherever you enjoy your podcasts, which is very exciting. We're so happy that we've been able to do that. And you can also still find us on YouTube if you like to watch the videos. And Christine, is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, please go to your favorite podcasting or YouTube and find us, like us, leave a comment. We're really excited to start this process and the growth that's occurring. So we would appreciate it.
And we're going to have more guests. We had Sarah Varba with us last podcast, and she was amazing. And we have more guests lined up throughout the year. So we cannot wait to share them with you. They are fonts of information. Just so insightful and inspiring. I love it. Yeah, it's so great. All right, Christine, as always, what a pleasure.
I know. So good seeing you.
All right.
Okay.
I will
My
see
favorite.
you. Oh, thank you. Me too. I look forward to it every time. All right. I will see you next week.
All right. See you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.